Gallagher Premiership round 6 predictions, sorry, brought to you by DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and this is the last round before we hit European competition. We'll be 6 games into a 22 game season, which means that we're effectively a quarter of the way through the season already, which is amazing when you think about it. It feels like it's only just started, and that's because we will have 6 rounds of group play in the European competitions, and whatever's replaced the Anglo-Welsh Cup and all that kind of stuff, weekends as well. So yeah, this is the longest stretch of Premiership games. Normally, I don't think it's changed, and yeah, this is a big piece as to where teams will end up come the end of the season. So let's run through what the games are this week. We have Bath versus Exeter, Saints versus Tigers, Sale versus Newcastle, Wasps versus Gloucester, Quins versus Saracens, and Worcester versus Bristol. So a lot of interesting matchups in this one. Quick reminder of the table. Basically, you've got Saracens and Exeter Chiefs at the top, both undefeated. Wasps just behind them, with just the single loss. And then you've got basically, hi Christopher, thank you for joining us in the live chat. This goes out live to YouTube. It's a bit randomous when it goes out, but if you subscribe and hit the bell, you'll get notified when I go live for these prediction shows. But let's say Saracens and Exeter at the top there, followed by Wasps. And then it's really pretty tight between 4th and all the way down to 12th, because basically Harlequins have won 2 games in 4th, as of Gloucester, Bath, Leicester, Tigers, Northampton Saints and Bristol in 9th, with Worcester, Newcastle Falcons and Sale Sharks having won 1 game each. Now, Sale with just their 1 bonus point is on 5 points, all the way up to Harlequins on 13. But if Harlequins are to lose and Sale get a TBP, that closes it all the way down to just a 3-point gap. So it's pretty close amongst that chasing, amongst basically that second half of the table, or more than half. Anyway, let's crack on and go through the games we have this season. So first up, Bath versus Exeter. Now, Bath 1 draw, 2 wins and 2 losses so far this season, but they're coming up against Exeter Chiefs. And basically, as far as predictions go in the Premiership, the rule of thumb is if Saracens or Exeter are playing, you back them to win. And so far, they've both won 5 out of 5 games. Sure, Exeter have only picked up 4 try-bonus points in those 5 games, whereas Saracens have picked up 5 try-bonus points. But it does seem like a 2-horse race already. And so, even though Bath are at home, I'm backing Exeter by 7. Sure, Bath made 13 changes for that trip to Saracens in their last game, where they got well and truly beaten. What was it? The score 50-27. Expect a lot of those players to come back, obviously, for this game. And Exeter may also be thinking about Europe, so they may rest a few players, but we'll see how that all pans out. I don't expect Exeter to go down by 13 players or anything silly like that. Yeah, a lot of criticism of Bath for changing that many players. I mean, the rotation I understand, but 13 players is a bit crazy. We'll be talking about that in the #Rugby chat later. Next up, the Great West Country, or not West Country, the Great Midlands Derby, Northampton Saints versus Leicester Tigers. Both these teams won 2, lost 3. Hang on a second, I'm just going to have won 2 and lost 3, as I said. Saints 2 wins have come up against Bristol and Harlequins. So in that, and they've lost to Bath, Saracens and Gloucester, whereas Tigers, both those wins at home against Sharks and Falcons. So basically the 2 bottom teams in the league, having lost to Worcester, who are 10th, Wasps and Exeter Chiefs. So Wasps and Exeter Chiefs fine, but losing to Worcester in 10th, having only beaten the bottom 2, you've got to say, I'm going to back Northampton Saints by 3. I mean, obviously there's still question marks around the kind of the whole setup at Leicester, with having obviously Matt kind of gone after 1 game, And Saints, obviously with a new coach from the Hurricanes, is going to take some time to bed in. So two teams in flux. We'll see how they pan out. But I say, yeah, Saints with home advantage by 3. Then we have the basement battle, which we did not expect really for these two necessarily to be down there. Sale Sharks versus Newcastle Falcons. Falcons finished in the top 6 last season. Sale Sharks kind of bounce around that 6th to 8th place. They've been getting in there and out of there over the last few seasons. So to see them both with just 1 win each, right at the bottom. Now there's a long way to go, and so I'm not sure alarm bells will be ringing yet. But both will have already, could, I would say, under normal circumstances, struggle to make the top 6 already with 4 losses. But having seen how so many teams basically have losing records, with only 3 teams with actual winning records, that's perhaps this season could be a bit different. At home, you've got to back Sale to win this one. I'm backing Sale to win this by 7. Yes, on the road, Sale really do struggle. And we've seen that with their losses to Harlequins, Exeter, Leicester Tigers. But they got the losing bonus point, Leicester Tigers, and sure, they lost at home to Wasps. They beat Worcester Warriors at home. Whereas Newcastle, obviously, with their plastic pitch, they did actually win on the road. Interestingly enough, against Worcester, but they had Saracens, Exeter, and Wasps at home. They have had a tough opening schedule with the 3 top teams visiting them in their first 3 home games. So expect Falcons start to lift their game after this, but I think Sale Sharks should have a good chance at home. Then we go across to the Work Arena for Wasps versus Gloucester. And a lot of positivity around Gloucester at the start of the season. A win, a draw and a win against Saints, Bath and Bristol. But they brought down to earth a bit since then with a big loss to Saracens away. And then also losing at home to Harlequins as well. They've not won on the road yet. They've lost both their away games. They've won at home. Wasps, just that one loss to Exeter Chiefs, beating everybody else so far. Now, fine, that does include the bottom 2 teams in Newcastle, but in fact, the bottom 3 teams in Worcester, Newcastle and Sale. But still, I think I'm going to back Wasps at home to win this one by 5. And that's one of the problems we do have at this stage of the season is judging these teams because, yeah, their schedules can be very different. I mean, we've talked about Newcastle having faced the top 3 at home, whereas we're talking about Wasps. They've played the bottom 3 so far this season as well. Next up, we have Harlequins versus Saracens. At the top of the show, I told you what the rule is. The rule is if Exeter or Saracens are playing, you back them to win. So Saracens by 10 for me in this game. Harlequins got that away win at Gloucester, which was good for them, but they're going to come unstuck here. They are a side that plays better at home than away, generally. That was kind of their form last season. And a lot of apart from the game against Sale where they ran out 28 point winners, the games have been close. They lost by only 7 to Saints, 5 to Bath, 7 to Bristol, beat Gloucester by just 2. They've all been close games, but still. But if you look at Saracens, they haven't. Their smallest margin of victory has been 11 points so far. Hence, so 10 is perhaps a bit on the optimistic side for Quins. We then have the final game of the round is Worcester Warriors versus Bristol Bears. 2 teams that we think are perhaps going to be down this bottom end, scrapping it out. Really, Worcester with just that 1 win over Leicester Tigers, having lost to Wasps, Exeter, which you'd expect, but also Newcastle and Sale, the bottom 2. Bristol impressively beat Bath first up, and they've also beat Quins at home, but that's been 2 wins at home. Away from home, they lost to Saracens by 21 points. They lost to Gloucester by 22 points. They're not so good on the road. Worcester, I'm back them then, therefore at home by 5. So there we go. That's my predictions. All right there. So Bath Exeter, I expect Exeter to win by 7. Saints Tigers, and I'm going for Saints by 3. Sale by 7 over Newcastle. Wasps by 5 over Gloucester. Quins and Saracens, so Saracens by 10. And then finally, Worcester by 5 at Bristol, over Bristol. So basically home wins except for Exeter and Saracens. As Christopher says in the live chat, I believe Saracens and Exeter are by far the best teams, followed by a gap to Wasps and then a gap to everyone else. And yes, that's basically how the table is looking at the moment. Exeter and Saracens unbeaten. The Wasps are the only other team with a winning record so far this season, with 4 wins and just that 1 loss. Everybody else has either got has only won 2 games at most, or even just the 1. So yeah, it is very tight between 4th down to 12th after those top 3. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who is down there come Christmas time, because that's historically when you can really sort of tell as to who is going to be relegated, and who is going to be fighting it out for those top 6 places, well, top 4 places to start off with for the playoffs, and then top 6 for the old European Champions Cup. So please do enjoy whatever you're watching this weekend. Hit the old like, subscribe and comments down below. Please, that's all very much helpful. Don't forget also, there's a link to my newsletter. So every Thursday I send out an email with links to all my videos. So if you don't want to miss anything and have it delivered to your inbox, you can go and subscribe to that. And then finally, if you would like to support Driving Maul, then you can become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Patreon.com/DrivingMaul, patreon.com/DrivingMaul for that. And as I say, enjoy everybody watching. And I'll be back later with my Pro 14 predictions this evening, and then finally the #Rugby Chat show, where we'll be talking about new World Rugby laws, the international calendars, and I'll be giving a summary about all the European leagues, and also talking about rotation of players as well.